read amongst ourselves. Don't keep us.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jen Killian, and I teach second and third grade, and I'm going to teach you about our reading program that we have here at East Union. It's called Raz Kids, and this is available for first through fifth graders, and we do it here at school. They are allowed to do it at home, and it will also be up all summer. And I'll talk a little bit about what that looks like and what you can do with the books they can read over the summer as well. So I have opened up my child, Paco Taco, here to show you some things. So I'm now logged in as a teacher, so now what you're seeing is my point of view. So this is just a profile page. This gives me a very quick, brief snapshot of things they're doing, and I'll go through each of that and show you what that means in just a second. So the first thing I want to show you, this is activity. This tells me what they're doing. And if I scroll down here, this tells me what date they did it, what level they're on, the type of things they're doing. They can read, they can listen to reading, and they can take a quiz for every single book that they're reading. And I'll show you in just a second. It shows me the score they get on the quiz. This is the book they read, okay? So this child, Paco Taco, is on level D, which we do assessments at the beginning of the year. We do one-to-one-on-one assessments, and we know what letter they're on. And so we assign them a letter where we think they are based on how they did on that test, and they are working at books at their level. So this child is at a level D, and he's working towards E. And just like Dreambox, just like Alex, it steps you through at your own pace, and you take quizzes to prove that you've done it, and you can move on. So they can choose books in this level, but they can choose what books they want to read, but it's at this level. So this child's at level D. You can see here's a quick little bar graph and tells us, all right, this is how much he's got. He's mastered, and we want to get to E, okay? So what we can do here is, if I go into level progress, if I go into level progress, this tells us right here the progress of the books they're reading. So he started at an A level, okay, and went to a B, is at a C, and a D. So for me, just to kind of look quickly at what level they're at and what books they're reading and how they're doing, I can get a quick snapshot of that, okay? Then I can go to reading rate. It also checks their fluency. So I can assign a test or an assessment at the end of each level, and it will check their fluency. So I can tell here he took a fluency check and he got 27 words per minute. This child's a 5-year-old, by the way. So he did 27 words per minute, and now he's at 39. So it gives me quick glances of how they're doing at the end of each level, okay? Now, how they get to those levels is they have these books. So we've assigned them a level at the beginning of the year, and it goes all the way from nursery rhymes all the way up to a letter Z, which would be like what, 5th to 6th grade level, I think is where we kind of have the Z at. It actually tells you right there. So it kind of gives you some information on the books here. So this child here started at A, and now he's at a D. So what that will do is if you go to the D books, this child can choose books, all of these books that they want to read, whenever they want to read it at any time. So it's got, Where Animals Live, it's got nonfiction, it's got fiction that they can choose. And so what I do in my classroom when they use this is when we're doing any language arts or we're doing guided reading, it's a more meaningful, accountable reading that they can do on their own, but still tracking it, as opposed to reading a book, and not being more accountable for what they're reading and proving it and reading out loud on their own and being more independent, which is great because the listening gives you a great model. And in the younger books, you can click on vocab words that they might not know how to read yet. It'll say it to them so they can move on and not get stuck or just guess, which is a great thing to be more independent. So what I have my kids do, and
Ms.
I know,
Killian, how do you know that they're reading it?
Well, then no, hey, I'm gonna get there.
Okay.
Just 1 second.
Sorry.
So no, that's okay. So each class is kind of using it, just like Dreambox, just like Alex. Each classroom is using it differently. For me, I use it when we're doing Daily 5. I'm meeting with a small group. Other kids are doing writing or working on spelling words or vocab, and then the other kids are on laptops, about 10 at a time. It also works on the computers, anything that has web or online connection. And they're working on that while we're doing the other things. So what the kids can do is what I have my kids do, is I have them listen to the story first. So they click on the little ear. And you can listen to the story. So this is giving that model. It's slowing down the reading. It's got fluency, it's got expression, so they can hear.
Written by Brian Robert.
And highlights the words as it reads.
Sydney Norton.
So they get that part, they get the model. I want them to do this first to learn how to slow down the reading. I teach a lot of good readers that read really, really fast and aren't necessarily reading for understanding. So when Brenda said, well, how do you know they're reading? The next part that they do after they listen to it is they read it. And I have my son at home do this exact same thing. And this time, they read on their own. And they're reading it, and now I sit with them sometimes, but a lot of times what we want this program to do is to have them become more independent. So you can read the story, and anything that might not be at their level, it's underlined so that they can hear it and listen to it, and then go on. They don't have to ask their teacher, they don't have to look the word up, which is great. They can be independent, they can move on. So they read the whole the whole story, then I have them take a quiz. So then this tells me, did they understand it? And each quiz has a skill assigned to it. Comprehension, sequencing, main ideas that it quizzes them on. You can see each question here tells me, okay, that's comprehension, comprehension. And a lot of them at his level are gonna be comprehension questions, but as they get older, there's more skills involved. So they take a quiz and it is automatically put into his little activity thing, and I can see at a glance, which was, I have to go back here now and get on here. Sorry, I'm trying not to get to my homeroom so you can see. All right, so then I can get back to the activity. Okay. And then what this tells me, he scores 5 out of 5 on all these tests here. He got a 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5. I know he's read it, he's understood it. Now am I sitting there, with my kids listening to them read? Not necessarily, but the quizzes will let me know how they did. So, so this student, he's finished this whole level C that showed me right here. So I assign assessments, just like we can in Dreambox and Alex, I can assign an assessment that has them do a fluency check where you can check the minutes and everything on the computer. They record their own voice, and they are really good at getting the microphone out themselves, plug it in, they know how to do it. They also record themselves doing a retelling, which gives you a lot of information, and in here also it will show you how to grade each one specifically, each thing. The main ideas and details, did they get the order correct? And you can score that individually, which is great. And it also then has you take another quiz that would test all the skills in level C. So you can see that this student here took this quiz and read a book at the level C. It's called How Things Move. His retelling, he was at 10 out of 18, which he was developing. So I knew that we had to go back and do some. So I can assign level C books again, kind of like Dreambox. It doesn't automatically do it, but you could go back and assign certain things or work on them with that. Now the cool thing for this and going into MCAs and working with small groups, how you can group kids, is that if I go to a quiz where he got some, like right here it says missed skill. It will tell me any missed skill on any quiz that kid got. So if I look here, comprehension, well that's something I need to work on. Okay, a kid might have main idea and details. They might have missed more than one thing. So what I do, and I'll show you in a second, is I go in there and I look, okay, there was, specifically for a lot of my third graders, it was comparing and contrasting. So I knew I really had to hit comparing and contrasting hard. So we've been doing some activities in language arts and small group stuff based on that information. So it's a quick information about what skills they're coming up that I need to really work on. Okay, so, and it is gamey, so the cool thing about it is once they've mastered something, or they've done something good, or they've read a message, or they've done something, you can send them a message. And so you can say, way to go. And so you can see here, I've done some as a parent, and you can log in as a parent, and you can send messages encouraging them, and you can check to see how the kids are doing. And I say, keep it up, mister. Yay, Parker, I'm so proud. Oh, it's Paco, not Parker.
Paco.
And I can award each kid points. They get a certain amount of points for completing each book and each quiz. And the better they do right away, the more points they get. So I encourage them to not, so the reading part, you want them to read slow and understand what they're reading so they can get more points, and they can build this rocket, which I'm not going to show you, it's gamey, and they earn points to build the rocket. But for a lot of them, it's really encouraging. So you can give them points if you want to. Like I gave him for finishing all these levels, I gave him 500 points. You can give him 50 for reading messages and just a little bit of encouragement.
No, Jenny, Paco Taco's doing a really nice job reading. And there's sometimes when you log on and see just your class list, it will actually give you notifications as well if there's students that are maybe not using their time wisely, or if they, maybe they are rereading books and they're not getting any points because they're just flipping through them really, really fast. Like Mrs. Vokes was saying, they're just clicking the next button on the page and acting like they're reading it. So those things do give notifications to the teachers, and it's really helpful because I actually show the kids my teacher thing, and I'm like, look at all these. I mean, maybe you got 1 out of 5, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 5. They're just cruising through it just to say they did it, to get some points. So those are just some things that they know, and they know that we can see it as well. So it's the accountability that has helped a lot when they're using a technology piece.
So here, for example, she's talking about, here's a student that, I think main ideas and details this kid isn't getting. So I know that I need to get in there and I have to help that person with main ideas. You can also click on, the actual book, and you can print out worksheets that are basically assigned for that skill. So you can send it home, you can have them do it while you're not working with them. You can pull small groups of kids to do that as well. So that's what I really like about this. You can also do a class one. If I go to reports, sorry, I just don't want to, okay, good. If I go to reports and I go to class skills, I can find out as a whole class what skills we need to work on. And so I look here and it says, okay, 81% of the kids who have taken this have vocabulary, okay? And there's 93% elements of a biography. Okay, they've got that really well. But what I was looking at is summarizing. And that's a huge one that I do know kids need to work on. So that's something with my ideas and details that I could work on with that kid. So I really like this one because this is a whole class thing where I like, okay, well, here's where I can hit a lot of kids at one time. Or I can look individually at that one student and say, main idea and details. That's something I can work on with that one kid or 2 or 4, how many ever it is. But yes, it does. I can check anytime and see that. You can log on as a parent just like the other programs, and you can send messages. It looks very similar to what the kids was, and you can send messages too. So it would look very similar to, the messages area that I see. And just because I'm running low on time, I won't show you that, but yours will look very similar to this. You can check the activity, level progress, reading rate, anytime you want, and send messages whenever you want. You can't award points though. So that would not be it. So just more the accountability, encouraging with the points and going in and being able to reassign things, or we can open up the books. Like I know some of my kids are like, well, Mrs. Killen, these books are too easy, or Mrs. Killen, I can't find anything. We do have the opportunity to open it up and show the book room, which we're thinking about maybe doing over the summer, but we'll talk about that, where you can go to this book room. Well, we have it locked right now where they can only read books at their level, which is a level that's kind of their instructional level, so they're still working on it, but it's where we want them to be. But you can also open up the book room. So for the summer, we thought this might be a good opportunity here to let them read any book, so they can go back and read a picture book if they want. They can read chapter books. They can do all that. So,
Do we have questions, parents?
Do assignments on Raz Kids and Alex, are they assigned out of school? Is there stuff that is required occasionally that they need to do out of school, or can they do things out of school?
we encourage them to do things out of school with Alex and I know Raz. At this point, I haven't assigned and said you have to do this at this point. In the future, I would like to, especially with Alex and Raz so much. They do that, more as on their own. It's not really an assignment that they'd have to know by tomorrow to move on to the next lesson. Like math, it's a little easier to do that. But in the future, I kind of hope to be doing a little bit more of that.
Parents have talked about, because like Brenda said, the middle school kids are doing Alex, and so if you have multiple kids in your family that have specific assignments to do on that, then you're fighting over a computer, and so that's been something that families are trying to figure that out too. Well, my older student has 2 hours of homework he's supposed to do, and then also like third grade comes on, supposed to do 40 minutes on Alex, or that's kind of even college.
However, one of the things that, like she was saying, was that we encourage them to do that. Anytime we can extend a learning day is a great day. Like over spring break, that would have been something that if you have time, you know what, log into Raz Kids, read a book, or log into Alex and take some time and work through a lesson or two. Some of the kids find it, like she was saying, like the points in building this rocket in Raz Kids and a Dreambox collecting the coins. I mean, some of those exciting things they really want to do. It's kind of like playing a video game for them, which anytime we can get them engaged, great, right? So there's a little bit of both.
So if a student logs into Alex out of school, they can progress through some of their things.
Absolutely.
During that class.
It'd be perfect over the summer school still work.
Do one
Yeah.
week or 2.
And
I
it really
can
have,
guarantee that ain't gonna happen.
One thing too, if you go back to the books, with this, you're here. It will give you a check, a green check, also if you mastered it. And if you don't have a green check, that means you need to do it again. You haven't mastered it yet. So just so I don't know if you saw any of the checks there, if I can go back to Paco, but it'll give you a check under here, whether you've mastered it or not, or it would be blue if you didn't during progress. So it does give you a snapshot that way as well. It's a really easy, kid-friendly program, but it also has books. When you get older into the older books, it's got really great nonfiction. There's some on, Martin Luther King and different topics and technology and extreme sports that are really interesting.
And nonfiction is always a hard one.
Yes, and that especially in the
level.
upper grades, yep, that's a big thing that they all need to work on, especially with the summarizing and hidden details. So this is where they can get nonfiction. And for me, doing it at home, it's a no-brainer. I don't have to sit and go through our bookshelf and try to figure out what are we going to read again tonight. He gets on, he does it. It's very fun. It's easy. They get to listen to it. They get to read it and take a quiz. So as a parent, sometimes you don't know what they're reading and how to understand it, or how you know if they're understanding it. It's kind of a no-brainer. Like you can pick any of these books, so they still have choice within their level, but you're not reading the same books over and again. You don't have to go to the library. I mean, I'm not saying you should. I want you to still do that stuff, but it's kind of a nice option. And I have 2 kids, younger and older, who have been trying it for me, so I can see what it looks like from at home. And they both really like it, and it's easier for me too. So I'm not reading. I want to read to them, but it's different. They're getting someone else. You know how your kids don't want to listen to you read anymore after a while. They fight you on it, so it's a nice option.
We want to all listen to you read, Miss Killian.
Thank you.
I will also just add to this, all of the programs that you saw today, one of the great things that they do, as you saw, is cater it completely to your child's ability level and needs. One of the best parts about that is we're able to do that in a classroom where every kid can be at their own spot And nobody knows where the other kids are unless they're sharing that. I mean, unless they're like, oh, I'm on blah, 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 level W, which is really nice because there are times where kids are together and we might have a child in a classroom that's reading at a level D and then another kid in a classroom reading at a level W. And that can create some tension and some stigma about, oh, you're a low reader, you're a high reader. And so we kind of get rid of some of those things as we do programs like this, because they're all in their own spot and they're all reading and nobody really is paying any attention to what the other person is working on.
Yeah, no
So
one's
that's
carrying
helped
a
with
big
that.
chapter book and
Yeah.
no one's having a picture book to look at, no one can tell.
Because oftentimes we'll have kids that'll check chapter books out of the library just because their friends are, and there's no way they can read that book. And so it's, but I have a chapter book, so they take it home, and now there's nothing that they can do with it, unless their parent is reading it to them or a sibling or something, which that does happen. But this way it allows them to really have that instruction catered directly to who they are as a learner versus who they want to be or who their friends, you know, who they want to be seen as. So it helps with that piece as well.
And I kind of had a teachable moment in language arts yesterday, which kid raised his hand, he's a good reader, and he's like, well, Mrs. Killian, I don't, this Raz thing, I just want to read it so fast, and this Raz, I can't read it that fast, it's because I don't get as many points. I'm like, that's the point. It makes you slow down, so you're reading for understanding, because they are good readers, but they're not understanding what they're reading. So we had a huge moment where we talked about that it's doing that on purpose. You're supposed to read for understanding and go back and reread, which this allows you to do, go back and forth. So it was kind of interesting, and we had a huge discussion about that yesterday in my language arts class. Yeah, because I said, is there anything on your report card for finishing first? No, because they can read really fast, but are they understanding it? So it's just one way to be independent and be accountable as well.
And Jan, this is, talking about your other grandkids, this is more reasonably priced for, as I was looking into it, just for getting a parent subscription, because I know that's more common rather than Alex or Dreambox, so.
Yeah. And, you know, oftentimes, this might sound silly, but we've had grandparents like purchase these subscriptions for their grandkids, like as birthday presents or Christmas presents. So that's a thought to throw out there too. If this is something for other siblings that don't have access at this time, that might be something that, you know, yay, everybody gets a Dreambox subscription for Christmas. It's not quite a tangible toy, but, you know, it meets a lot of needs. If you sell it like the video game thing, maybe it'll be a little better. I don't know. Are there any other questions that we can answer? Excellent. Well, all I can say is thank you for coming this morning. It's really important for us as a team. As you can see, you know, we're all kind of here to help support and be a part of this. It's really important that as we move forward with some of these things, that parents have a full understanding of what we're working on and can ask questions as we go along. So anytime anything comes up that you have questions about, just let your classroom teacher know, let myself know, or anyone else that's available. And that's what we're here for. So thank you for being here. And there's more coffee, so please drink up.